Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing the mid-year book freakout tag. Did I say that right? I filmed this about 5 times. The mid-year book freakout tag. Yes. Okay, that is what we are doing today because unbelievably we are almost halfway through the year. I'm filming this at the end of June. I've currently read 81 books, which is just mind-blowing even to me. Like, that's a lot of books. It's not as many as some, but I try not to compare myself to other people. And also I know that 81 books, that's a lot. But yeah, it's time to do this tag, so I thought I would jump in. Everyone's doing it. I will link in the description Earl Grey Books, who was the original creator, so please go check them out, subscribe and support them. I've recently started watching their content and really enjoying it. They're an Australian booktuber, and they've just got this really like low-key, relaxed way of doing things that I really like. So yeah, please go and check them out and support them. I do have my screen up here with the questions on it, so that's where I'm looking, and you'll also find in the description all the questions, like I said, and the link to the original video and all that good stuff. Can you tell it's been a while since I filmed a video? Anyway, let's get into it. So for question 1, the best book you've read so far in 2021. So like I said, I read 81 books, and as soon as I saw this question, there was only one book that kind of popped into my head. And what's interesting to me about it is that I didn't list it as the best book in the month that I read it, although that month was particularly good, but it's just the first one that popped into my head. And that book is The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donahue. I cannot stop thinking about this book. I haven't stopped thinking about it since I read it. I'm definitely going to reread it this year. And Emma Donahue was already an author that I really loved. And she's now definitely just an author by author. And can we just, like this cover, it's just, the whole thing is just so we are in 1918 in Dublin, so we're in the middle of World War One, and we're also in the middle of the flu pandemic, and we're following a woman who works on a maternity ward for women who have the flu and are heavily pregnant, and she is there to look after them and their babies. And it's just about a couple of days in her life. It's a really short time that we get with her, but it's just stuck with me. I think I read it in January or February, and it's now June, end of June, and I still can't stop thinking about it. It's absolutely beautiful. It's also got a love story between 2 women in it, and the whole thing is just like so exquisitely crafted. So I cannot recommend this highly enough, although I do need to give a content warning for miscarriage and infant death, so just be careful. Also discussions of plague. It is a plague book, and discussions of war, so just be careful. But if you can handle those topics, I cannot recommend it highly enough. Question 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2021. Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend, which is obviously part of the Morrigan Crow series. Again, another beautiful cover. There's a question in a minute about covers, and I was like, how am I supposed to choose? But anyway, we'll get into that in a minute. So Hollowpox is the 3rd book in the Morrigan Crow series, and it's personally my favourite of the 3 so far. I feel like Jessica Townsend's writing is getting stronger and stronger, and this one I was just completely absorbed. I think I gave the first 2 4 stars, which is obviously a really good rating. This is the first one that I gave 5 stars to. It was just so much fun. It's obviously a 3rd book in a series, so I can't get into what happens in this one, but in the 1st book we meet Morrigan Crow, who is a so-called cursed child who is destined to die on her 11th birthday. Her 11th birthday comes and she gets swept off to Nevermore by Jupiter North, and it's about what happens from there. But this one, I just really loved it. It's quite dark in places, it's got some big messages in it, but I just thought it was fab, and I cannot wait for the 4th book to come out next year. Question 3, new release you haven't read yet but want to. So by the time this video is up, I might have read this because it's in my July TBR, and that is Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth Mcneil. Again, another stunning cover. I've seen quite a bit of buzz about this, and it just really intrigues me. It's historical fiction, I think. Well, yeah, it is historical fiction because we're in 1866. In a coastal village in southern England, Nell picks violets for a living. Set apart from her community because of the birthmarks that speckle her skin, Nell's world is her beloved brother and devotion to the sea. And I think her father sells her to the circus, and they call her Leopard Girl because of the marks on her skin. And yeah, I'm just really excited for this. The lovely Aoife from Words of Clover gifted this to me this month as I'm filming, and I'm so excited that it's on my July TBR. So we will see what I make of that. Most anticipated release for the 2nd half of the year. So I don't have it yet, but it's a sequel to A Song of Race and Ruin by Roseanne A. Brown, which is a book I read earlier in the year, and I just absolutely loved it. Can I find what the sequel is called? I really should have looked that up before I started filming this video. I'm not sure I can. I can't remember what it's called. I will put it in the description. I have it on pre-order, And I just loved this so much, and it really surprised me because it's not my usual kind of thing, because it's fantasy. So we've got 2 characters we follow in this. We follow the princess, who basically needs the heart of a king for a reason, and we have a boy who needs the heart of a queen for a reason, and things happen. That's the worst description ever of this book. Let me read a little bit of the description, that'd be better. For Malik, the Stasia festival is a chance to escape his war-stricken home and start a new life with his sisters in the prosperous desert city of Zaran. But when a vengeful spirit abducts Malik's younger sister, Nadia, as payment to enter the city, Malik strikes a fateful deal: kill Karina, crown princess of Zaran, in exchange for Nadia's freedom. But Karina has deadly aspirations of her own. Her mother, the Sultana, has been assassinated. Her court threatens mutiny, and Solstasia looms like a knife over her neck. Grief-stricken, Karina decides to resurrect her mother through ancient magic, requiring the beating heart of a king, and she knows just how to obtain one, by offering a hand in marriage to the victor of the Solstice competition. I just really loved it. You had that kind of competition element to it. You had these 2 characters that were on a collision course with each other. It was just really fantastically written, particularly for a debut. And this was gifted to me by Thomas on Twitter as part of my Christmas Secret Santa that I'd arranged. And yeah, I just had the best time reading this, and I'm really excited to see where her writing goes and to see what happens to the characters, because the end of this book I was like, I need more immediately. So I'm really excited for that. And it's coming out, the date seems to keep changing, but sometime towards the end of the year, and like I said, I have got it on pre-order, so it will be in my hands ASAP. Okay, next question. Biggest disappointment. So I haven't got a book for this. I don't tend to talk very much about negative books on this channel, mostly because reading's so subjective, and something that I've not enjoyed, somebody else might. I do usually say at the end of each of my reading month vlogs, like, which was my least favourite book of the month, and yeah, so I don't really have an answer for this, so we're going to skip on to the next one. So question 6, biggest surprise. I cannot believe how much I loved this book. I have a second book on my July TBR. Again, I might have read it by the time you see this. And yeah, I realise I'm dumb because everybody loves this book, but I wasn't sure that I would get on with it. In case you've been living under a rock, we're following Charlie and, oh my gosh, what's the other boy called? We're following 2 boys, Charlie and Nick, blimey, who meet at school. And Charlie is gay and out, and Nick thinks at the start that he's straight and is kind of trying to figure himself out. And it says on the back, boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. And this was just like one of the most lovely things I've ever read, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, so this is probably my biggest surprise of the year so far, mostly because like when stuff gets hyped, it kind of puts me off. So I didn't expect to love it, but I just really did. So yeah, biggest surprise of the year so far. So question 7, favourite new author, debut, or to you, or new to you. So this one, I've read a lot of new authors this year, but I was looking through my shelves, as you can see, I've taken books out. And I saw this book and I was like, yes, because this is definitely a new like author by author. And that's Cameron Garrett. She wrote Full Disclosure, which I read with Charlotte earlier on in the year. Did I buy this? Yeah, I think I bought this myself because we did a buddy read. And we are following, what's her name? Simone, who is at high school. She's just changed high schools. She's got a new group of friends. She's directing the school musical that year, which is Rent. And she's kind of starting to get interested in a boy. And so she's just a fairly average high school student. The other thing about Simone is also that she's HIV positive. And this book is all about what happens to her. And I have to admit, going into it, and I think it's partly this cover, which I love, but I thought it was going to be kind of a hard-hitting, quite difficult to read kind of book. And actually it's so full of like love and friendship, and there are hard topics talked about in here, and there are big things that happen, but it wasn't kind of like really hard going all the way. There was actually a lot of moments I laughed out loud, and I just loved her writing style. There was something about it that was just really inviting and like draws you in. She's also got another book out, which I think is out shortly, if it's not out already. Again, I've got it on pre-order just to show how much I enjoyed her writing. And even though this was just her debut, the first book I read by her, I definitely want to read more. So yeah, she's probably become one of my author by authors this year for sure. Okay, question 8, newest fictional crush. Again, I don't have an answer for this. I'm not really one for getting crushes. So again, we're gonna skip on to the next one. Number 9, newest favourite character from Nevermore. I tried not to double up too much, but I just really enjoyed these books this year. Yeah, my newest favourite character are basically the entire cast of Nevermore. I do love Jupiter North. He's really intriguing. I really want to know what's going on with him. I really love Morrigan herself. There's also a giant cat whose name I now can't remember, who is just awesome, has so much attitude all the time. So yeah, kind of the whole cast of characters from the Nevermore series, definitely. And I can't wait to spend more time with them, like I've already said, when the new book comes out next year. I'm definitely going to do like a whole reread before that book comes out. So book 10, book that made you cry. I don't cry a lot at books, mostly because I'm a bit dead inside. But this one didn't make me cry, but it did make me like definitely like choke up. And that is The Boy, the Mole, the Fox and the Horse by Charlie Mcmakesy. I can never work out how to say this. Maxie? I'm rubbish. This was sent from Laura, the lovely Laura and her bookish thoughts. And it was just such a wonderful thing to sit down and go through. I read it, definitely, it came into my life from Laura at the perfect time. And I just thoroughly enjoyed reading it. And there was definitely a couple of points where I was like, oh, wow, am I feeling emotion? It's just glorious. And if you haven't got yourself a copy already, I would just really highly recommend it because it's just absolutely beautiful. Look at this one. It says, often the hardest person to forgive is yourself. And it's just like, feelings. Right, next. Number 11, a book that made you happy. So this is a bit of a weird answer to this, possibly. But a book that made me happy is The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. And the reason it made me happy, I mean, I really enjoyed it, gave it 5 stars, you can go and see my review. But the reason it made me happy was because it's the last book, the last fiction book that Atwood has put out so far, although I think it's probably her last novel, which meant I have read all of her fiction novels, and that made me very happy. I will also link the video, it's very chaotic, where I ranked her books if you want to see that. But yeah, reading this year made me really happy because it was the end of a 17-month project in which I read all of her fiction works in order. So yeah, definitely had to be that one. Book 12, most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. This is such a hard question to answer because there are so many beautiful covers. So I went with the first book that I received, I went with the first book that I read this year. I received it at the end of last year, technically. But it's also beautiful. And that is Dear Reader by Kathy Ransom-Brink. And this was sent to me by Book Break in exchange for an honest review. And honestly, I loved it. I started my year off with a 5-star read. And the cover is stunning. And it's a book for readers. So if you've got someone in your life who's a big reader, get them this book because they will love it. And yeah, it's a non-fiction book. Sorry, I've got all the windows open because it's really hot here. It's a non-fiction book all about Kathy's journey basically as a reader, the books that were important to her, the times that she's read them, the jobs that she's had connected to books, and I absolutely loved it so much, and it's also very pretty. Okay, last question. Is it? Yes, which books do you need to read by the end of the year? So as I said, I've already read 81 books. I've got I set myself a reading goal of 100 books on GoodReads at the start of the year, so I should, unless something drastic happens, I should be absolutely fine with that. For me, the way that I work my TBR is when a book comes in, it goes to the back of the queue on the shelf, so gradually it moves forward as I pick other books from this end. Does that make any sense? I should probably do a new bookshelf tour at some point. But I have 2 books left that I was gifted at Christmas, and I feel really bad that I haven't read them yet because it's basically July. So these are going to be like high priority for me. The first one is the number 2 Feline Detective Agency by Mandy Morton. This was gifted to me. I think it was Kat. Yes, it was. Couldn't resist getting you this cute sounding cat mystery. Merry Christmas from Kat at Brews and Reviews. I read it's here. The Ice Maid's Tale, which is like book number 7 or 8. By accident not by accident, but I read it last year because Charlotte sent it to me because it's a Handmaid's Tale spoof, so she thought it'd be funny, and it's actually number 8 in the series, and I enjoyed it so much I put the first one on my wish list, and then the lovely Cat sent it to me for Christmas, so I'm definitely going to read this really soon. It's really high up on my list of priorities, and this is basically about a world where everyone has cats and they have different mysteries. And it was I really enjoyed this one. It was really cozy and fun, quite dark, and twisty, and yeah, I need to go on and read this book. And then the other one was also gifted to me for Christmas. Who gifted me this one? Oh, from Jo, the lovely Jo. She said, I've loved watching your videos over the past few months. I want to say thank you. I hope you enjoy the book. She's one of my favourite authors. This came through at Christmas as well. And that's Perfect Death by Helen Field, which is Kalanack, part of the Kalanack series. I've read the first two. This is the third one. I always really enjoy these, and they're just kind of easy to read, like cop thrillers. And this one is, the killer is taking his victims in the coldest, most calculating way possible, engineering slow and painful deaths by poison, with his victims entirely unaware of the drugs flooding their bloodstream until it's too late. So it sounds really fascinating. Like I said, I gave, I think, the first two in the series either 4 or 5 stars. So yeah, these two are definitely two that I need to just get on and read. And that is the end of the tag. I'm not going to tag anybody because I think everyone does this anyway. It's such a great tag. I just really enjoy it. If you've got to this point in the video, leave me a cat emoji to prompt me to pick this up because I need to get on with it. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks guys. Bye.